So I just left the local grocery store a few minutes ago. While I was walking around doing some grocery shopping, the woman who abused me walked in with her husband, walked by the aisle I was in. They didn't see me initially. When I walked out of the aisle to go to the checkout line, they were headed to the checkout line from the other side of the store, and they did see me then. And they came to the checkout line right next to the one I was in. So I had to look at their backs as I was paying, as they were right there. And it's amazing, even though what happened to me happened getting close to not quite 20 years, 17, 18 years, somewhere in there ago now, it still has a major impact. And it's, my blood pressure went up, my heart started racing faster, immediately felt like I needed to protect myself. It's really not a fun experience to go through those feelings. And it's made worse because of what happened here with the local church. Rather than recognizing, and this isn't the first time, rather than recognizing who the abuser is and what has happened, this woman, I was born the year she was married. And I was just barely an adult when I was still a teenager when she started grooming me. And with the way the church responded here, essentially forcing us out so that we had to resign our membership. Otherwise, we would have been in endless meetings to see if we were repentant enough for actually revealing what had happened. And I'll post the links to the videos of what happened that we talked about, my experience in the description. But instead of recognizing who the abuser is, the church forced my wife and I out of the church. And that was brought to our attention even more. Not too long ago, we had 2 foster kids in our care who were involved in that church there. And my wife sent a message to one of the former leaders, who apparently is not a leader anymore, and asked, could I just bring the kids to Sabbath school and just want them to have a connection while they're in our care. They wouldn't be in our care for too long, for about a month. And the message came back that the leadership would have to consider our request and would have a special meeting about it. We never directly heard the results of that meeting, but a relative of these kids who happened to run into the youth pastor here that we've never met and hasn't been here very long, she ended up talking to this youth pastor, and he related that we are not allowed at the church because we are dangerous. And I scratched my head because here there's a registered sex offender that goes to church regularly who doesn't follow the rules. He's allowed there. This person who abused me, who I saw today, is regularly allowed at the church and still participates, as far as I'm aware, singing on the platform and so forth. They're allowed in this church, but somehow we're dangerous. And really, I guess we're dangerous because we couldn't not tell the truth. And I would feel horrible if what happened to me happened to another young person. And it's interesting because we do know that this abuser was fired from another conference job because of being inappropriate with other young people. I don't know all the details of that, but this is a problem, and some in leadership recognize that clearly. But yet, still, we're the ones that have been forced out of the church. Some people have asked us, why don't you just come anyway? Clearly that we cannot, because we're dangerous and not allowed on church property. It's disturbing. This isn't the way of the gospel. I was encouraged by someone at the conference level that, things will change. A few years will go by. The church will change dramatically. Once this pastor leaves, things will get better. But clearly, that's not the case, because this new pastor, who we've never met, never spoken with, is apparently even in some ways more vitriolic than the previous pastor, who's now gone to a big church in Tennessee. So I don't understand. I don't understand how they can take that position against us. But telling the truth is not very popular today at all. People don't want to hear the truth, and I didn't ever expect my abuser to be forced out of the church, not allowed to come to church. I was very disturbed about the very real possibility and process started of hiring this person to have contact with the youth. I felt that would absolutely be wrong, but I never felt that they should be completely kicked out of the church. Ironically, we're the ones kicked out of the church, and just like with this registered sex offender I mentioned, his victims were forced out of the church. This person's wife went around and said that this girl who reported what had happened to her was a husband stealer, and everyone took this sex offender's side, even though this person is extremely, extremely disturbing. Just like that, my abuser, who hasn't been convicted of a crime, is just embraced by the church while the victims are chased out. That is not the gospel. That is absolutely wrong. And I know there are others that have been through a similar situation. I'm so sorry. It's completely wrong. This isn't the gospel. This isn't Jesus. And those leaders there, they don't know Jesus. You have to understand that. And it's very sad. I wish it weren't that way, but they are determined to continue on in that absolutely wrong path. And I don't know what else to say, but it's disturbing to run into this person in town. It's hard.